You were still nestled in the covers, staring slowly, expecting the usual quiet that filled the morning since you married Jungkook. He was a man of routine, a distant, work-focused CEO who rarely spoke to you beyond polite nods or curt words. Each day he would wake after you, take his time getting ready and head straight to work without more than a quick goodbye. But today was different. You heard footsteps. It was faint at first, a bit of movement here and there, but it grew louder. Opening your eyes, you noticed Jungkook pacing back and forth. There was an unusual urgency in his actions. He seemed a little excited. Curious, you sat up and rubbed your eyes, your voice coming out in a sleepy mumble. Why are you up so early? What's the rush? He looked at you briefly, his expression still cold but his actions oddly restless. My best friend Sujin is coming today. I need to pick her up from the airport. He replied, slipping his phone into his pocket. His words surprised you. Your friend, the thought of Jungkook, your often aloof and reserved husband, having a close friend was unexpected enough, but a girl best friend. Yes, alright then, I will get breakfast ready. He gave a curt nod, already turning away and headed for the bathroom. You watched him go, a mix of emotions swirling in your chest. This man, your husband who barely showed you any warmth or affection, had a best friend. And apparently she was important enough for him to break his usual morning routine. As you turned and made your way to the kitchen, you couldn't help but wonder what she was like. In the quiet kitchen, you set the table, arranging a simple but healthy breakfast for Jungkook. He soon came down freshly dressed in his tailored suit. Jungkook, you called softly, gesturing to the table. Come, breakfast is ready. You should have something before you go. Jungkook, wait. You barely ate. Finish your breakfast at least. I don't have time. Her flight is about to land in 10 minutes. But it's just breakfast. It won't take long. You shouldn't skip meals, especially when you have a busy day. It's fine. I'll grab something later. Right now I need to be there on time. Okay then, drive safely. Without another word, he nodded and turned away, leaving the house in a hurry. As the door clicked shut, you stood there lost in thought. For the first time in your marriage, you had seen Jungkook looking genuinely eager about something or rather someone. It was such a stark contrast to the distant man you know, the one who rarely smiled or showed much interest in anything outside of work. The curiosity glowed at you. Who was this friend of his? What was their bond like? And how had she brought out a side of him you hadn't seen before? These thoughts were running in your mind. You tried to stay calm as you finished breakfast and kept an eye on the time. Even though you told yourself you were simply curious, you found yourself waiting on the couch for Jungkook and his best friend. The front door opened and you hear Jungkook's familiar voice, warmer than usual. The murmur of laughter sound, feminine, followed his. You listened as they settled on the couch. Ryan, his voice called out, breaking you from your thoughts. Taking a deep breath, you composed yourself and stepped out of the kitchen, joining them in the living room. Ryan, this is Sujan. We have been friends since college. And Sujan, this is Ryan, my wife. It's so nice to meet you, Ryan. Jungkook told me you two got married, but this is my first time seeing you. I'm so glad I finally get the chance. Nice to meet you too, Sujan. You replied, giving her a polite smile and shaking her hand. But as you sat down on a chair nearby, their focus drifted back to each other almost immediately. They continued chatting, their conversation flowing so naturally with a comfortable ease that surprised you. So, Mr. Serious is still the same, huh? Workaholic intense as ever? Jungkook chuckled, his smile coming easily, something you had rarely seen. Yeah, I guess I haven't changed much, but you know me, I'm not one for big changes. Sojin rolled her eyes with a grin. Oh, I know, you used to say that all the time. Remember when I tried to get you joined that dance club in college? You looked like you were going to pass out. Jungkook, who was usually so cold and distant, was laughing, smiling even. There was a liveliness in his eyes as he and Sujin reminisced about old times, sharing memories and inside jokes you had no part of. You really haven't changed. Always so serious, but at least you are still the same old Jungkook. Some things don't need to change. Watching them, you couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. There was a deep bond between them, a level of comfort that only came with years of friendship. As you settle down at the dining table with them, Jungkook turned to you. Ryan, Sojin is going to stay here for 2 days. Are you okay with that? Caught off guard, you simply nodded, forcing a small smile. Yes, of course, that's fine. As the three of you started eating, you noticed how Jungkook was only focused on her, serving her food, arranging things in front of her, asking if she needed anything else. So, Sujin, you will have to let me know if there is anything specific you want to do while you are here. Oh, I don't want to be any trouble. But I have missed our little adventures. Remember how we used to just drive around late at night looking for food spots? How could I forget? You were always dragging me out, saying I needed to loosen up. And you did. You needed a break from all those books. She teased, nudging his arm playfully. Jungkook's focus was entirely on her. His smile wide and genuine in a way you had rarely seen, and every time she said something, he listened with an attentiveness he never showed you. Feeling an ache in your chest, you pushed your plate slightly away. You hadn't eaten much, but your appetite had vanished, replaced by a heavy, hollow feeling. Sujin turned, noticing you standing up. Wayan, what happened? Why aren't you eating? Oh, I'm just not feeling like eating right now. Are you sure? You don't look too well. Yeah, I'm fine. Just need to rest a bit. Without waiting for a response, you turned and walked back to your bedroom, closing the door softly behind you. Was that relationship really just friendship, or was there something more? You shook your head trying to brush the thought away, but the closeness between them, the comfort they shared, felt like something deeper than just friendship. The way he looked at her, the way his entire demeanor softened, why couldn't he be that way with me? Why did he reserve that warmth and those smiles for her alone? Why is he always so cold towards me? The question made your chest tighten painfully. A thought came to you, one that you had been avoiding since you saw them together this morning. Does he even like me? Or was this marriage just an obligation to him? Did he really want this marriage? You sat on the edge of the bed trying to pull yourself together when you heard footsteps approaching. The door opened and Jungkook stepped inside, his expression softening when he saw you wiping away your tears. Wayan, what happened? Why are you crying? Something broken in you at his question, and before you could stop yourself, the words came tumbling out. Do you even like me, Jungkook? I mean, truly like me? No, of course you don't. You always stay distant, always cold, as if being around me is some burden. I don't even know if you wanted this marriage at all. Wayan, it's not like that. You interrupted, standing up. Then why do you act like I'm not here? Like today with Sujin, do you even realize how you look at her? I have never seen you smile like that, laugh so freely, or show even a hint of that warmth towards me. All I have ever wanted was a real connection with you, to feel like I matter, but you barely even acknowledge. Wayan, please, just let me explain. Explain what, Jungkook? That I'm just some obligation to you? That you only married me because it was convenient? Because that's how it feels. I watch you with her and it's like I'm invisible. Like I don't even belong in this marriage. Wayan, he said softly, reaching a hand out, but you pulled away too hurt to listen. I need some space. I can't keep pretending everything is fine when it's not. Without giving him a chance to respond, you turned and left the room, heading to another bedroom. Wayan, we are going out to explore the city a bit. Why don't you join us? You forced a smile, shaking your head slightly. Thank you, Sujin, but I'm not really interested. You two go ahead. Wayan, we just planned this now. It's not something I mean to keep from you. Can you join us? You shook your head again, still not looking at him. No, really, you two go. I will be fine here. Okay then, Jungkook, let's go, she said brightly, her hand gripping his arms tightly. Jungkook seemed surprised, quickly moving his arm away from her hold, glancing back at you with a troubled expression. Even though you had chosen not to go, the thought of Jungkook spending the day with Sujin while he barely noticed your absence made your heart clench. Ryan, can we talk for a moment? She asked softly. You nodded. Sujin paused for a moment, taking a deep breath as if gathering her thoughts. Ryan, I think you are misunderstanding our bond. I want to be clear with you about something important. What do you mean? With a small smile, she pulled out her phone and showed you a picture of a man standing beside her. This is my fiancé. We are engaged and I came here for my marriage. Jungkook asked me to stay for 2 days to spend time with both of you. But that doesn't mean there is anything between us. You blinked in surprised. You are engaged? But I know it might seem confusing, but my relationship with Jungkook is purely friendship. He's always been there for me and I appreciate him deeply, but it's different with you. He talks about you constantly and genuinely cares for you. I didn't know you were engaged. I just thought there was something more between you two. He's been struggling to express his feelings, but that doesn't change how he feels. Shock washed over you and you struggle to process her words. He loves me? He talks about you all the time. You are always on his mind. He really does care for you, Ryan. But then why he is so cold to me? Why doesn't he show it? Jungkook has always been like this, even from childhood. He's taken years to build a bond with me too. He's not used to opening up. Thank you for being honest with me, Sujin. I was so caught up in my insecurities that I jumped to conclusions. I appreciate you clearing things up. Of course, I want you both to be happy, and I know Jungkook does too. Just give him a little time. He's working through his own feelings, but he will come around. Jungkook, he whispered through happy tears. I'm so sorry, I misunderstood everything. He froze for a moment, clearly taken aback by your sudden action, but then, as if instinctively, he hugged you back, holding you tightly against him. You felt the warmth of his body, and it comforted you immensely. Ryan, what's wrong? Why are you crying? I, I thought I thought you don't like me. That you didn't want this marriage. But Sujin just told me how much you love me, and I realize now how wrong I was. I'm sorry for how I have acted. I have just been so caught up in my own world, trying to figure things out. You have to know that it's never been about you not being enough. I really love you, Ryan. I promise you, that's not it, he said, stepping closer and holding your hands in his. Sujan is my friend, but my heart belongs to you. I have always cared about you, but I'm not good at expressing myself. It's not easy for me to open up. I know now. She told me how much you talk about me to her. Do you really love me that much?